Pay attention to the young woman stumbling down the park pathway at dusk. Her name is Maya Torres, a 22-year-old college student who had too much to drink at a friend's birthday party and is trying to walk home through Riverside Park. She is unsteady on her feet, disoriented, vulnerable in a way that makes her an easy target for predators. Now look at the three men watching her from the shadows near the park entrance. They've been following her for 2 blocks. In exactly 8 minutes, park security cameras will capture what happens when they offer to help her get home safely. This was not help. It was a coordinated attack, and she was about to become her own last witness. Welcome to Last Witness. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more haunting crime stories that expose how modern technology connects us to both opportunity and danger. At 7:42 p.m. on June 14th, Maya Torres's roommate Sophia Chen made the first of many frantic calls to her phone. Maya had left a birthday party at a friend's apartment near Riverside Park in Portland, Oregon at approximately 6:30 p.m., telling friends she was going to walk home because it was only a 15-minute walk and she needed fresh air. She had been drinking steadily for 3 hours, celebrating her friend Kayla's 22nd birthday with shots and mixed drinks, and by the time she left, she was visibly intoxicated but insistent that she could make it home on her own. Her friends offered to call her an Uber. She refused, saying she needed to save money and the walk would help her sober up. It was a decision that would change her life forever and expose a predatory pattern that had been operating undetected in Portland's parks for months. Maya Torres was a junior at Portland State University, studying psychology with dreams of becoming a therapist who specialized in trauma recovery. She worked part-time at a campus coffee shop to help pay rent and tuition. Her friends described her as responsible, kind, always looking out for others, the person who made sure everyone got home safely after nights out. But on this particular evening, Maya had let her guard down. She was celebrating. She was having fun. She made a choice that millions of people make every day. She decided to walk home alone through a public park at dusk. It should have been safe. The park was well lit, popular with joggers and dog walkers, and patrolled regularly by security. But safety is an illusion that predators know how to shatter. As Maya walked through Riverside Park, following the paved pathway that cut through trees and open green spaces, she was being watched. 3 men had spotted her leaving the party, noticed her unsteady gait and lack of awareness, and made a calculated decision to follow her. Their names were Derek Hansen, 28, Kyle Morrison, 26, and Tyler Beck, 24. They were not strangers to each other. They were friends who had known each other since high school, who spent their weekends drinking, partying, and as investigators would later discover, hunting for vulnerable women in situations exactly like this one. They had developed a system, a predatory routine that they had successfully executed at least 4 times before without being caught, but this time would be different. This time, technology would capture their crime in ways they never anticipated. The 3 men followed Maya at a distance, staying far enough back that she would not notice them, but close enough that they could close the gap quickly when the moment was right. They communicated using hand signals and low voices, coordinating their approach like a pack of wolves isolating prey from the herd. Derek, the oldest and the leader of the group, had done this before. He knew how to read situations, how to identify women who were isolated and impaired, how to manipulate circumstances to create opportunities. Kyle and Tyler followed his lead, their roles clearly defined from previous experiences. This was not their first time. This was a practiced routine that had been refined through repetition. At 6:47 p.m., park security cameras captured the moment everything changed. The footage, which would later be analyzed frame by frame by investigators and played in court to a horrified jury, shows Maya stumbling slightly as she walked along the pathway, catching herself on a park bench before continuing forward. The camera then pans to show 3 figures emerging from the shadows near the tree line, moving quickly toward her. Within seconds, they had surrounded her. From a distance, to anyone watching casually, it might have looked like friends helping a drunk companion. Derek approached her first, his voice friendly and concerned as captured by a microphone on the security camera that most people did not know existed. "Hey, you okay? You need some help getting home?" Maya, disoriented and vulnerable, made a decision that countless safety experts warn against, but that intoxicated people make every day because their judgment is impaired and their natural defenses are lowered. She said yes. Maya told them she lived about 10 more minutes away, just past the park on the other side. Derek assured her they were heading in the same direction and would make sure she got home safely. "We got you," he said, his voice dripping with false concern that victims of predators recognize too late. "Can't have you out here alone like this. Lots of creeps in the park at night." The irony was lost on no one who would later watch the footage. Kyle positioned himself on her left side, Tyler on her right, and Derek slightly behind as they began walking her deeper into the park, away from the main pathway, away from the lights, away from other people who might have intervened. The security cameras tracked their movement through multiple zones of the park. At 6:52 p.m., Camera 7 showed them guiding Maya off the main paved path and onto a dirt trail that led toward a more secluded section of the park, where homeless encampments and dense foliage provided cover from view. Maya's body language in the footage shows increasing distress and confusion. She is seen trying to pull away at one point, her head shaking as if saying no, but the men maintain their grip on her arms, their pace quickening. At 6:54 p.m., they disappear from camera view into an area of the park that had no surveillance coverage, a blind spot that Derek had clearly scouted beforehand. What happened in those next 11 minutes would be reconstructed later through forensic evidence, Maya's fragmented memories, and the testimonies of witnesses who heard screaming but did not investigate, because screaming in parks at dusk is often dismissed as teenagers playing or people joking around. Maya was dragged approximately 200 yards into a wooded area where the tree canopy blocked most of the fading daylight. The three men took turns assaulting her, while the others held her down and kept watch. When Maya tried to scream, Derek covered her mouth and told her that if she made noise, they would hurt her worse. When she tried to fight, Kyle twisted her arm behind her back hard enough to leave bruises that would be photographed by medical examiners hours later. When she begged them to stop, Tyler laughed and told her she should have called an Uber. The cruelty was as calculated as the crime itself. At 7:05 p.m., park security cameras captured the three men emerging from the wooded area, walking quickly back toward the main pathway, adjusting their clothing, laughing among themselves. Maya is not with them. They left her in the woods, disoriented, traumatized, and alone, assuming she would be too ashamed or too intoxicated to remember details or report what had happened. They were wrong on both counts. Maya lay in the woods for approximately 20 minutes, crying, trying to process what had just happened, trying to summon the strength to move. Her phone had been in her pocket the entire time, her hands shaking so violently she could barely hold it. She managed to call Sophia at 7:27 p.m. All she could say through sobs was, "I need help," in Riverside Park, before the call disconnected. Sophia immediately called 911 and then ran the 15 minutes to the park, calling Maya's phone repeatedly until she heard it ringing faintly from the wooded area. She found Maya sitting against a tree, clothes torn, face bruised, in shock. Portland police and paramedics arrived at 7:38 p.m. Maya was transported to Oregon Health and Science University Hospital, where she was treated for physical injuries, and a sexual assault forensic exam was conducted. The injuries were consistent with violent assault: bruising on her arms, wrists, and thighs, scratches on her back and neck, and internal trauma. DNA evidence was collected. Maya, though traumatized and initially unsure if she wanted to report the assault because of the stigma and self-blame that assault victims often experience, ultimately decided to cooperate fully with the investigation. "I don't want this to happen to anyone else," she told Detective Lauren Mitchell, who was assigned to the case. "They've done this before. I know they have. They were too good at it." Detective Mitchell's instincts told her Maya was right. This was not the impulsive crime of drunk men who made a terrible decision in the moment. This was planned, coordinated, and practiced. She immediately pulled all available security camera footage from Riverside Park for the time in question. What she found confirmed Maya's suspicions and opened a case that would eventually link Derek, Kyle, and Tyler to multiple unsolved sexual assaults across Portland over the past 18 months. The security footage was damning. 12 different cameras captured portions of the sequence of events: the three men spotting Maya leaving the party, following her at a distance, surrounding her on the pathway, guiding her off the main trail, and emerging alone minutes later. Their faces were clearly visible in multiple frames. Their vehicle, a black Dodge Charger registered to Derek Hansen, was captured on a camera near the park entrance both before and after the assault. Detective Mitchell ran their names through the system. All three had prior arrests: Derek for domestic violence, Kyle for assault, and Tyler for public intoxication and disorderly conduct. None had prior convictions for sexual assault, but investigators would soon discover that was only because their previous victims had not reported the crimes, not because they had not committed them. Detective Mitchell took a calculated risk. She released still images from the security footage to local news outlets, asking the public to help identify the three men, even though she already knew who they were. The strategy worked beyond her expectations. Within 48 hours, 3 other women came forward, each reporting that they had been assaulted in Portland parks over the past year and a half by men who fit the descriptions and followed the exact same pattern, offering help to intoxicated or vulnerable women, isolating them, assaulting them, and leaving them behind. None of the women had reported the assaults to police initially because of shame, fear of not being believed, or fear of retaliation. But seeing the security footage and knowing they were not alone gave them the courage to come forward. Armed with multiple victim testimonies and irrefutable video evidence, Detective Mitchell obtained arrest warrants for all 3 men. They were arrested at their respective homes on June 17th, 3 days after Maya's assault. Derek Hansen answered his door, eating a sandwich, acting like nothing was wrong. Kyle Morrison tried to run out the back door of his apartment and was tackled by officers in his backyard. Tyler Beck was arrested at his job at a warehouse, his co-workers watching in shock as he was handcuffed and led away. During interrogations, all 3 initially denied everything. Derek claimed he had never been to Riverside Park. Kyle said he was home alone that night. Tyler insisted it was a case of mistaken identity. But when confronted with the security footage showing their faces clearly, their vehicle, and their coordinated movements, their stories began to crumble. Derek's attorney advised him to stop talking. Kyle broke first, admitting they were in the park but claiming Maya had consented and then changed her mind afterward. Tyler stuck to his story until prosecutors showed him enhanced images from the security footage showing his distinctive tattoo on his forearm. Then he too fell silent. Forensic analysts matched DNA evidence collected from Maya to all 3 men. Cell phone records placed them in the vicinity of Riverside Park at the exact time of the assault. Text messages recovered from their phones revealed disturbing conversations from that evening and previous occasions where they discussed hunting and targeting drunk chicks in parks and near college bars. One message from Derek to the group sent 2 days before Maya's assault read, "Riverside Park this weekend? Always good pickings when the weather's nice." It was premeditation in writing. The trial began in November. Prosecutors presented a devastating case that included the security camera footage, DNA evidence, testimony from Maya and the 3 other women who had come forward, text message evidence, and expert testimony about predatory patterns and coordinated sexual assault. The defense tried to argue that the sex was consensual and that Maya's intoxication made her an unreliable witness. But the security footage destroyed that narrative. The jury watched Maya clearly trying to pull away. They watched her being dragged off the main pathway. They watched 3 grown men laugh as they emerged from the woods where they had left her. There was no ambiguity. There was no room for alternative interpretation. The jury deliberated for 7 hours over 2 days. Derek Hansen was found guilty of first-degree sexual assault, kidnapping, and criminal conspiracy. Kyle Morrison and Tyler Beck were found guilty of the same charges. During the sentencing hearing, all 4 women who had been victimized by these men read impact statements that reduced the courtroom to tears. Maya's statement was the last. "You took something from me that I can never get back," she said, her voice steady despite the tears streaming down her face. "You saw a vulnerable person, and instead of helping, you attacked. You worked as a team to destroy someone. You are cowards and monsters. But you made one mistake. You didn't count on the cameras. You didn't count on me fighting. And you didn't count on the other women finding the courage to speak. We became each other's witnesses. And we made sure you'll never do this to anyone else." Derek Hansen was sentenced to 30 years in prison without possibility of parole. Kyle Morrison received 25 years. Tyler Beck received 22 years. All 3 were required to register as sex offenders for life. The case led to immediate changes in Portland's park system. The city installed 47 additional security cameras in Riverside Park and other high-traffic parks. They increased security patrols during evening hours. They launched a public awareness campaign about the dangers of walking alone while intoxicated and the resources available for safe transportation. Maya became a spokesperson for the campaign, partnering with organizations that work with sexual assault survivors. The security footage from that evening has been used in law enforcement training programs across the country, demonstrating both how predators operate in coordinated groups and how surveillance technology can provide crucial evidence. Maya's case became a textbook example of how modern technology can serve as a witness when human witnesses fail or are not present. The cameras that captured her attack became her voice when she could barely speak. They preserved evidence that could not be destroyed or explained away. They turned what could have been a he said, she said case with low chances of conviction into an airtight prosecution that removed 3 dangerous men from society for decades. Maya graduated from Portland State University in 2024 with honors. She now works as a victim advocate, helping other survivors navigate the criminal justice system and the difficult process of healing from trauma. She speaks at college campuses about safety, consent, and the importance of reporting assaults, even when victims feel shame or fear. Her message is consistent. What happened to me was not my fault. Walking home was not an invitation. Being drunk was not consent. The only people responsible for that assault were the 3 men who made a choice to attack me. And the cameras that caught them made sure they faced consequences. I became my own last witness, and I'm still standing. Derek Hansen, Kyle Morrison, and Tyler Beck remain incarcerated. Prison records show they have been involved in multiple disciplinary incidents, including assaults on other inmates. They will likely spend the majority of their remaining lives behind bars. Maya visits her therapist weekly, practices self-defense, martial arts, and carries the scars of that evening, both visible and invisible. But she is not broken, she is not silent, and she made sure that the 3 men who thought they could hunt vulnerable women with impunity learned that even in darkness, cameras can see, technology can remember, and justice can reach predators who thought they were untouchable.